Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the second to last round of the 2022 VRL Cup Series. We are here tonight at Phoenix International Raceway for the Phoenix 200. My name is Mason Heimbaugh. Join me alongside here in the booth, Gareth McAllister from down under, my esteemed colleague. Welcome back here once again. It's great to have you. As per usual, Gareth, it's going to be a hot night here, or rather day here at Phoenix Raceway. This is a very difficult track from what I remember from the times that I have driven this track personally. And not only are we here at Phoenix, given that the iRacing service has two different scans of this track, one from 2008 and the other from just a few years ago. So this is the older configuration, well, not necessarily configuration, but the older asphalt that we had here in 2008. So a little bit of a different racing surface that we have for drivers. And again, from what I can remember, Gareth, I don't know if you've ever turned any laps here yourself, but this is quite the track. It is difficult to get the hang of and really get a good groove down.
Well, first of all, g'day everyone. G'day Mason. But nice to be up here in the booth, call this action that we're going to have here today. But yeah, this track is very interesting here at Phoenix. It's incredibly different. I did a couple practice laps. I just got a little tour of the track with James Coulibaly before the race began, and he was just taking me through, showing me a lap around the track, and I can say that it's almost like just a big corner with a small straight being the start-finish straight, because there's like a little kink in the back straight, and if you take it with as much speed as I'm sure these guys will be, as you can see James Miller having a little bit of a slide there, but there's that little kink that he just went through, and it's almost as if the corner, basically starts after the start-finish straight and just changes a little bit as it continues on back to the start-finish straight. So it's very interesting, very unique, and we should see quite an interesting race here, I reckon, coming into today.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see the Tim Hortons '09 machine coming down to an abrupt stop there on the front straightaway just outside of turn one. James Miller having a little bit of struggles here on his qualifying laps, but managed to put a lap down. Just going to be here taking a look at his best time at 28.74, placing himself fifth on the starting grid here. And yeah, Gareth, this is a rather unique track that we have here, and I'm expecting to see some pretty intense racing for these drivers, and potentially some pretty, well, I've already said it, it's just going to be very action-packed, a lot of side-by-side potential here today. And frankly, even despite the little bit lower numbers that we're seeing here today for the field, I think that it is going to pose some excellent racing, given the drivers that have shown up here today, the caliber of drivers here in the field. It's great to see them out here today in virtual Phoenix. Gareth, before we have about a minute left before qualifying wraps up here today, taking a look back, flashback to last week at Laguna Seca, where Aaron Smith came home with the win. James Miller in second place, and Howie Briss coming home on the pole in third. Howie's definitely, I think at this point, secured his spot in the championship. Aaron Smith obviously adding on to his wins for this season in the double digits since a few races ago, just tacking them on here and showing up here again today, looking to potentially add on to that. But again, this is a very tough track, and I don't think it's going to be forgiving to anyone, as looking at things, a handful of drivers have not put down a qualifying lap here, and I'm starting to wonder if that is because they're just not sure how things are going to go here today.
No, it's going to be very tricky, because not only, like I said, not only is this almost a continuously left turn sort of track, but in the new configuration there's a lot more banking. In the old configuration that we're running here tonight, there's not that much help in the corners as you go through the turns. There's only about 9 degrees of banking going around into turns 1 and 2. I think it's 8 to 9 degrees of progressive banking, and 9 to 10 on turns 3 and 4. So Not a whole lot of help from the track surface itself here, and it's going to be very demanding. I think we will see a couple of drivers hit the wall on the way around here, just trying to get as much pace as they can out of those cars. But this track, there's a lot of history behind it. It was opened in 1964, and it's produced some fantastic races ever since, and I think we're about to see another one.
Absolutely. And with that, we have our starting grid up on screen. Ashley Lyle back here for another race in the number 51 machine alongside Jaden Hopp in the front row. Howie Briss and Tony Hilbrand's going to take the second row. James Miller, Scott Shire in the third row. Sean Williams and Aaron Smith taking the fourth row here. Tom Mercia, Nicholas Corcel in our fifth row. Patrick Colby, James Koulibaly in our sixth row. Move ourselves down just a little bit here. Michael Ashmore and Howie Dietrich going to round out our grid here tonight. Again, only 14 drivers present here today, but I think we are going to see some rather exciting action here today as drivers set off behind the pace car, get themselves ready for the start of today's race. 200 laps, 200 miles that we are going to see here today at Phoenix International Raceway. Gareth, I think this is going to be, the start of this race is going to be rather interesting, especially for drivers like Howie Briss, Jaden Hopp, Tony Hilbrands. Tony Hilbrands, I think, especially, who's had a rough couple past weeks, having been away from the racing cockpit with the hardware issues that he faced, not able to use his throttle during a couple races actually, and having to find himself repairing that. But back out here trying to make the best of it in the last few races. And if I recall correctly, last week at Laguna, Tony Hilbrands, he had a fairly good run. Finished 9th in the race overall. Not quite what he was looking for, I think, at the end of the day, but I think he had quite a good fight going into that race, and I think that's going to carry forward into tonight's race, starting off in 4th place. Good start for the 92 machine and for Howie Briss as the green flag drops here for the very first time at Phoenix. I gotta say, Howie Briss not taking any time at all here to try and get himself away from the field. Just a little bit further behind that, though. James Miller, Tony Hilbrand's going to duke it out side by side for the 3rd place spot as we come out of turn number 4 and across the checkered line.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really looking like a heated battle already between James Miller and Tony Hilbrands. Hilbrands just getting in behind there, checking up Scott Shire just behind a little bit as well. So that's going to ruin his run on the exit of turn 2. And then they go past the kink, which I believe is not actually a turn number, but it definitely could be considered one, as it's definitely not straight. James Miller taking a little bit of a higher line there. I wonder if it's just to rubber in those tires a little bit more. Now, I believe that we're going to see just one lane of traffic here for the most part, but as we can see as we go further back in the field, you can see a battle brewing up already. Once again, I should say, I believe that's Corcel. Yes, Nicholas Corcel making his way up into the 8th spot, passing Ashley Lyle, or should I say Lyle passing him as they go back and forth. But Lyle making her way up. I don't believe. Oh no, she fell down a little bit since the start, from what my timing sheet is saying. So just trying to work her way back up. Potentially got caught up on the high side. I must admit I missed that a little bit, but. Corcel trying to fight back as much as he can, and we'll see how this battle shapes up in the next coming laps.
Speaking of these two drivers here, Nicholas Corcel coming back with the Sour Patch Kids livery on his number 7 machine, but Ashley Lyle, she did mention before the race here tonight that she was bringing a very special paint scheme here tonight, and I gotta say, I think this Nightmare Before Christmas scheme looks fantastic. Well done job here to whoever made that, whether it was Ashley or she hired someone to do it. Fantastic work. I think that looks fantastic. But yeah, as the race continues on here, a few battles developing throughout the field here. We have Patrick Colby getting right on the tail here of Sean Williams in the number 89 machine, trying to see what he can do in that 6th place spot, just trying to stay within that draft, stay as close as he possibly can and set himself up potentially for a pass here. And taking a look at things here, Gareth, it looks to be that some drivers are very capable of trailing along with with someone ahead of them and kind of just spooking them and making them just like what Patrick Colby did here to Sean Williams. And I'm not sure if Sean maybe just kind of gave that one up there, not wanting to put up too much of a fight early on in this race, which, I mean, 200 laps, that's a long, long time to be turning around a racetrack. So you got to be a little mindful of your tire wear. You got to be mindful of your fuel. And here, if I go back and look at my notes, we are looking at a pit window of 75 to 95 laps, so a 20 lap gap, or window rather, that we have for drivers to come down into pit road. We have Howie Dietrich already down here in the pits as well. I'm going to have to assume due to some sort of issue outside of the car or something like that. It does not appear that he made contact with anyone or the wall or spun out or anything like that, so I would have to assume that Howie Dietrich is making a driver decision to pull himself out of the race here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see that happen to Howie. We've seen that happen to Howie a couple of different times, and unfortunate as though it may be, it's still nice to see him turn up and attempt some of the races that he has done. But we see Ashley Lyle here making her way underneath Sean Williams, and Williams not seeming to find the form that he wants to at the moment. He's just going to have to fall back in line, get it pieced together, figure out where he's got his strong points, and really use them to his advantage, because he's been struggling with his pace a little bit here. Although in saying that, I almost wonder if he's thinking of a fuel strategy game, because as you said, the fuel window 75 to 95 laps. Now, we have had drivers in the past push it a few more laps than the top end. So I almost wonder if you can stretch it to 100 laps and we stay green, you could make this a one-stop race. Now, it's unlikely, but if you can save that much fuel, I wouldn't be surprised to see we could have a strategy race turning out for us here tonight.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of what's going to come, what it's going to come down to here at Phoenix, being just how, well, not necessarily large this track is. Again, this is only a mile-long track. It's not the biggest racetrack that we've seen here on the schedule, but it's most certainly one of the most unique and probably among some of the most difficult that we've raced at as far as the oval side is concerned. And just kind of riding along here with Sean Williams, just seeing what he's doing behind the wheel of the number 89 machine, riding along from the passenger side. You can see him getting right up on the curb there, right through the kink. And as he makes his way through turns 3 and 4, Howie Briss doing a phenomenal job keeping himself up there in the front of the pack. And I gotta say, Aaron Smith actually not starting the race here tonight. He has not taken his car out from the pits, and he is not going to start tonight's race. So Aaron Smith just kind of showing up and practicing with his fellow drivers before they start off tonight's race. But let's take a look at the action up here towards the front of the field here, Gareth, where things are a little bit more spicy, as the kids do say. Jaden Hopp back here along with James Miller and Tony Hillbrands, all trailing along here with Howie Briss, and Howie again just doing a phenomenal job of just, I mean, he doesn't even show any signs of stress here. He's so confident behind that wheel, even with these 3 phenomenal drivers behind him, all giving pressure, trying to hit that 97 machine to make any kind of mistake if they possibly can. I mean, it's phenomenal what Howie Briss has done in this season and what he continues to do, even after essentially clinching the championship.
Yeah, Howie Briss, just one of those drivers that doesn't seem to feel the pressure, or at least doesn't show that they're feeling the pressure. I'm sure you'd be feeling it with Hopp and Miller bearing down on you at so close to the rear of your bumper there. But yeah, I mean, also Hillbrands is slightly behind them as well with a tiny bit of a gap, but I'm sure maybe just potentially waiting for some disaster to befall these drivers ahead. and take advantage, not wanting to be caught up in anything if something does happen. But you can see Miller getting a lot lower than the other drivers in front of him. So I almost wonder if that's going to wear out his tires, or if he's doing that deliberately to try and fake out Hop here. As you can just see a little bit of a poke of the eye. A poke of the eye? That doesn't make sense. A little bit of a yep. I'm just gonna forget that I even attempted to do something there. But you know, we're gonna keep going, and yeah, this battle's shaping up really good as Hop makes a move to the inside. Briss is gonna open the door into the kink. That's going to allow Hop a really good run. They're gonna get perfectly door to door as they go into turn 3. They're getting very close. Miller trying to force the issue as well. Very, very close. These ARCA cars do not do well when you get bumper to the rear. That's for sure. As Hop, I believe, took that lap as the leader of the race so far. So it's already shaping up as the 97 and the 87 go toe to toe. 81, sorry, go toe to toe. And Miller's going to try and force his way in there, not wanting to go 3 wide, I bet. Trying to do something on the outside of Hop as Hop got slowed down on the exit of turn 2. But he might find himself being stuck up there as well as Tony Hilbrand's in the 92 machine tries to make a move.
Yeah, right now it is absolutely incredible, the battles that we have right now for second place. And Tony Hilbrand's also trying to get in some of the action here as well. These drivers, while they're not fighting for a championship necessarily, they are fighting for the top 3 spots in the championship. Howie Briss obviously going to be taking that championship away, but second and third place, Nicholas Lovell and Tony Hilbrand's, there is still a battle to be had between those 2 drivers. Tony Hilbrand's and Jaden Hop for the 3rd and 4th place spots. I mean, it is not over for these drivers. I don't exactly have an official points chart for you guys, but what I can tell you is that these 4 drivers are all going to be giving it their all here tonight, and especially, you know, Jaden Hop, James Miller, I mean, they have been on quite a few good runs here in the past few races. James Miller obviously coming home with that podium last week at Laguna, carrying that momentum forward here tonight in Phoenix, definitely showing that he's got what it takes here tonight. And Jaden Hop also showing that he's got what it takes here. Jaden did not come out to Laguna, but I do believe that he attended the race at Long Beach. No, yes, he did. So Jaden Hop did not quite have the best run at Long Beach from what I understand, but obviously taking a little bit of time to recoup from that and coming back out here tonight and looking to place himself as well as he can up on the podium, if at all. And Tony Hilbrand's got to give credit here to Tony, trying to give a fight here to Jaden. Lap 22 of 200. I mean, the action still brews up here for the top 4.
Yeah, this battle's it's just not ceasing, is it? It's really, and there's not even, there was a small gap that formed, you could see, just between Miller and Hop, but it really didn't last long as Miller got a little bit loose on exit there, so it's going to allow Hop to close in the gap even more. I wonder if Tony is still just biding his time, just waiting behind them, and considering, or if he's going to try and make his way through this field. All these drivers, very, very talented individuals. There's no doubt about that at all. And we can see, I think Miller's just trying to get something going for Briss here, just trying to see if he can fake out Briss. But as we said, you know, Briss definitely no stranger to stressful situations and able to keep calm in that 97 machine. So Miller's going to really struggle here. I think this is one of those tracks, as I said at the top of the show, you know, it's almost a constant corner. So there's not that many opportunities in terms of passing, except for waiting for that person in front of you to make a slight mistake or error. And Briss not one of those guys to typically do that. Very, very consistent driver and almost locking down the championship thanks to his consistency here. So yeah, it's I think this battle will rage on for a number of more laps, as a little bit further back looks like Ashley Lyle is catching up to Scott Shire as well for the 5th position. So there's a few battles happening at the moment. But we're going to stay up front with this one because this is getting, I mean, words can't say how close and how well these drivers are driving at the moment.
Absolutely impressive for these guys here in the top 4. And Jaden Hopp, clearly he wants to stay in the action, but he's definitely keeping things a little conservative here. Definitely seems like he doesn't want to get too close to Howie Briss and James Miller. Might potentially just want to give them a little bit of room, but also still be there for when the opportunity arises that he can make a pass. And there goes Ashley Lyle. Scott Shire duking it out here for the 5th place spot. The 51 machine going to come out on top as they come out of the kink and into turn 3. Ashley Lyle now going to crack her way into the top 5. And between Ashley Lyle and Tony Hilbrands for the 4th place spot is about a little over 3.5 seconds. So not exactly going to be easy to catch up to those drivers, but with the pace that Ashley is putting on right now, I don't know, it looks to be that she might just be a little bit too far off to be able to catch them at this rate. But I have a feeling once pit stops come around and you're able to get on a fresh set of tires, we're going to see that 51 machine start to slowly work her way into the top 3, potentially. We'll see as the race goes on here. But Scott Shire, the number 4 machine, the 4 Fox machine, going to still be here in 6th place and kind of just keeping things steady, keeping things easy, making sure that his car is here until the end of the race. And frankly, just kind of looking at a lot of the field here, that's what a lot of these drivers seem to be doing, not getting too aggressive, trying to just, again, take things easy. You don't want to bin your race car this early in the race. You're seeing a couple scrapes here from the number 9 of Patrick Colby. But other than that, I mean, other than the few scrapes to the wall, drivers not trying to avoid as much as possible letting that rear end get away from them, as, again, this is just an extremely difficult, basically flat track that these drivers are racing on. So it's a lot of challenges that these drivers are facing.
Yeah, and Patrick Colby, you know, he's one of those drivers that will always push the limits of the car. I mean, almost lap in and lap out. You see him get a little bit sideways, no matter where he's at, and just trying something different, trying to get as much out of his car as possible. And you know, sometimes it works out, and sometimes it's a little bit unfortunate. Not sure if he had a little bit of spin, but almost looks like he's chewed up his tires already, or just going for that interesting, no, just going for maybe a different bit of a line, as you can see, getting very close to the wall on exit as well. So yeah, Colby seems to struggle a little bit at the moment, as I believe we just had a blink from Nicholas Corsell just up ahead. And you know, just mentioning Nicholas Corsell, I've got to do this once again. Mason, I mean, have you finally had a Sour Patch Kid? I know I keep saying it, and I should have one as well. Unfortunately, Sour Patch Kids do not exist in the country of Australia that I know of. I have never seen one or heard about them until this league, really. So, Mason, what are your thoughts?
Well, you know, I did happen to dig through my kid's candy bag, so I did get some Sour Patch Kids in me, which was a good feeling. But, you know, the thing about it is, once you eat all of them, you just end up wanting more. Is Patrick Colby coming out of turn 4? That was close.
It was a great save by the number 9 machine.
Wow.
Great save.
Excellent save here from Patrick Colby. That could have ended in disaster here for the number 9, and almost certainly with a caution coming out at that. Back up front, though, the action continues to brew on. I mean, these drivers have not been able to get away from one another, regardless of what their position is. And looking a little bit further beyond that, Ashley Lyle has actually done a phenomenal job of chipping away at that gap. And taking a look at things here, she's actually she's making me eat my words here. That pace that I mentioned earlier of the 51 driver has actually changed to where she is now positive to be able to catch up to these drivers here in the top 4. So I would expect Ashley to, I mean, it's going to take a little bit of time here, folks. I mean, she's within 3 seconds right now, but it's still a long time to chip away. It's not going to happen in a corner. I mean, unless, I'm not even going to say it. I don't want to jinx it. We're going to keep racing the way that we have been because it's been awesome. But if the dreaded thing happens that we all are thinking of, that would obviously change things here for Ashley, and it would definitely help her situation. But as of right now, she's on the right track to be able to track down these top 4 drivers and start to put herself in the mix of that group. What I am curious about, though, Gareth, is, you know, for these drivers up here in the top 4, you know, this is going to be a real testament to these 4 drivers and eventually to Ashley Lyle once she's able to work her way up here, to their long run capabilities. I mean, short run speed, these drivers obviously have it at this point, but now, are we going to see anyone start to fall off now that we've kind of reached the halfway point in this run here?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because tires definitely fall off quick, and like I say, like some you know, some tracks are more abrasive than others. I'm not exactly sure on how the tire wear will be affected at Phoenix, but I can tell you that this track is almost as if it's a constant corner, just with a different turning radius at points. So that should be playing quite a big factor on the right front tire. I believe is going to be feeling it probably the most, being on the outside there, and also being the cornering tire itself. So, you know, it could be an interesting one. We have seen a lot of these drivers towards the front have typically been very good at having consistent pace, even managing through tire wear and not getting too loose or having too many issues. So potentially we should be okay, as Hop almost has a little bit of a wiggle just heading out there. But you know, Ashley Lyle, she's within 2.5 seconds now. She's been making her way. She's been on average about a tenth quicker than the top 4 at the moment. And you know, you could say that's because the top 4 are slowing each other down with that heated battle that they're having at the moment. But as far as Ashley Lyle is concerned, she's happy to see it, no matter how it's happening. And really earning that paint job for sure. Really making it stand out on camera, and she's about to have it on camera a whole lot more as she continues to work her way to the front.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think for these drivers up here in the top 4, it might just be the nightmare before Christmas for them here tonight if she's able to track them down, and I'm sure she will be able to here before too long. Ashley Lyle, a very, very strong driver here in the series. Doesn't always get to show up for every race, but when she does, she definitely makes a statement here on every race that she does attend here for the VRL Cup Series. But I want to take a quick moment here while we have a little bit of time. I want to give a shout out to everyone tuning in and watching. Dawn Hilbrands, as always, great to have you here. Marcus Regal, thank you for joining us here once again. Great to have you here. And everyone else that is tuning in and watching the action here tonight, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. I hope you guys are enjoying the action as it's developing. We are about a quarter of the way through tonight's race. Again, it is the second to last race of the season, and we have a caution out here. Let's take a look at what happened here to Patrick Colby, the number 9 machine. I suspect a little bit of a struggle coming out of turn 4 here, Gareth.
He's been facing a losing battle with the rear of that car, and I think it potentially just got the better of him in the end. You can see doesn't get any help from any others around him, and that's a very, I think yeah, just a little bit of a nudge on the wall there. Not too much damage, thankfully. Oh, might have been a little bit stuck, but does manage to get it rocking and rolling again. So a little bit of a pit stop. Doesn't look like there's too much damage, or I certainly hope not, and we can get him back out here as well pretty quickly. That pit crew will be earning their pay, I'm sure. But yeah, it doesn't look like there's too much damage. Maybe a little bit of superficial, maybe a little bit of wheel rub. So it shouldn't be too bad, as we've got all of the leaders coming down pit road.
Everyone getting into their pit stalls, get a fresh set of good gears, get some fuel, everything that you need as a race car driver to do your job. So Howie Brisk, Jaden Hopp, Tony Hillbrands, the whole field going to come through. Make sure that they are set to go for the next run here. Taking a little bit of a strange angle that one of our camera operators decided was a good idea. We're going to have to dock their pay for that one. But anyway, quick hustle out of the pit road. Howie Brisk going to come out on top of that one. James Miller, Jaden Hopp, pretty much everyone back into the spots where they started as per usual. Not going to see any real changes to the field here, but you know, with this restart is going to come a very intense battle now, I think, for the top 5. Now that Ashley Lyle has been able to work her way up here into the top 5 and really seeing that impressive speed from the 51 machine after, 38 laps was just phenomenal. It just seemed like, she just reached under the seat, Vin Diesel style, like it's Fast and Furious, turned on the NOS bottle, and it's time to go. Hey, sometimes that works. Others, it doesn't. Hey, maybe you're unlucky, and you. Oh God, what was it? I forget what it was. You had a danger to manifold, or it always makes me chuckle when I see that. But either way, I think this is going to be an exciting restart.
When the Supra had I know what you're talking about. When the floor dropped out.
Yes. Yep.
I remember that. I don't remember the exact problem that was faced there, but yeah, I think a lot of those Fast and Furious cars actually just recently, a couple of years back, got sold at auction. Auction. I don't know, however you say that word, but yeah, I think they got sold recently, and they did decently well for the amount of money. Not surprising, of course, and but anyway, we in terms of Ashley Lyle, I just, she might be happy to be, well, she's probably going to be happy that she's up with the 4 at the top here on the restart and caught back up, basically a gimme with just catching up like she did. But she may have thought that she wanted it to go green just because she was catching them purely on pace on slightly worn tires. So with these 4 getting new tires at the moment, new rubber underneath them, they might just be able to step away from her, and that's not what she wants to see. So it should be an interesting restart. Obviously, with Ashley being on the inside line, it should be a good start for her regardless. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, Nicholas Corcel, Sean Williams, Scott Shire, I mean, they're also going to be up here on this restart as well. They kind of fell back on this first run that they had. Let's see if they have a better run this time around. But pace car is in, the green flag is up in the flag stand, and down it goes here for the second time here at Phoenix International Raceway for the Phoenix 200. The 2022 VRL Cup Series, we're back to green flag racing. Jaden Hopp, Tony Hillbrands battling for the 3rd place spot here as they go through the kink. Jaden Hopp on the inside, he's going to have the advantage here. A little bit more action happening just behind them. 2 wide, 2 deep between Nicholas Corcel, Ashley Lyle, Scott Shire, and Sean Williams all kind of duking it out here. And Ashley Lyle trying to keep herself up here with the top 4, trying to get around Nicholas Corcel, who ultimately I think at this time might be slowing it down, but also they're starting to catch up these drivers up here in the front.
Yeah, Corcel got a really good launch on the outside line and checked up Ashley Lyle just a little bit as she tried to work her way back around him, but able to manage to get it done. So Corcel just slipping in behind, and a lot of these drivers going a little bit wider on turn 3 and into turn 4. So I'm sure they're trying to get something interesting happening as Hopp and Miller get into each other. Thankfully, neither of them having more than a little bit of a bobble. Hopp barely managing to stay out of that inside wall. Miller still loose as a result of that. Potentially another touch there just before heading into the kink. Miller stuck on the inside line. That's not where he wants to be with a wiggly rear end, as Hopp is going to be side by side on the door of the 09 machine of James Miller as they go side by side, continuing to hold up. Tony Hillbrands behind, and that means Ashley Lyle should catch up all the quicker as she got checked up on that restart, but still staying side by side for an entire lap and possibly continuing to do so as Hopp is going to keep on trying to make that outside line work.
doing a phenomenal job here as well, and Hop going to be in at the disadvantage here. Staying on this outside lane is going to be extremely tricky, especially when you come out of turn 4 here. Beating that wall, it's definitely going to slow you down the harder you hit it. So a light graze not going to affect you too much, but if you come out of turn 4 too hot, it is going to cost you dearly. Tony Hillbrands, meanwhile, he's doing a phenomenal job trying to stay with this pack here, and Howie Briss ultimately taking advantage of all of this action happening behind him. Tony Hillbrands going to get on the inside of James Miller in the 09 machine as they come back out of turn number 4 here. Once again, going to try and see if he can crack his way into the top 3. Not quite going to make it work this time around as James Miller gets back out ahead of the 92 machine. Ashley Lyle, meanwhile, just a little bit behind them, along with Nicholas Corcel here, just kind of slowly chipping away at that half a second gap that they currently have to the top 4 here. And Nicholas Corcel showing some very impressive pace this second run here. He's definitely keeping up with Ashley, and if he's able to continue at this pace, these two drivers might make it a 7-way or a 6-way battle, essentially for the top 6 spots, which would just be phenomenal here at Phoenix, especially at this point in the race. Incredible driving from everyone here at this point.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, Hillbrands is getting a little bit left behind. Not enough to really make a massive issue, but just seeming to hang back a little bit further, which will help Ashley Lyle get a little bit more of a run coming down the straightaway and through the kink, as a little bit of the air is sucked away from the front of that machine, not slowing her down so much, as Hillbrands will create a little bit of a tunnel for her in those windy conditions. But Howie Briss still under fire and will continue to be so for a while longer, I'd imagine, as Jaden Hopp is going to try, I think might try something heading into turn 1. No staying behind at the moment. James Miller is also there, once again taking a peek to the inside, showing Hopp that he's still there and not wanting to give up anything at the moment. This is much closer battle than I expected to see here today, as Howie Briss continues to lead this group. Jaden Hopp trying to go a little bit wider now. I'm not sure if he was trying to get a little bit more of a run on the exit, but Miller, I think, faked him out a little bit there, as Miller looked like they were going to take the inside. So Hopp had to cover the outside a little bit more than he wanted to, potentially trying to get a run on Briss, and that's going to cost them a little bit here, as Miller's just all over the back of Hopp at the moment, even closer than Hopp is to Briss, and they're already close enough as it is. So this is oh, Hillbrand's even getting a little bit involved in this one as well. This continues to be quite the fight.
You know, and Gareth, I mean, in the times that I have driven these cars or any of the Cup cars in general on the iRacing service, you know, I always get a little bit nervous when I'm following a car that closely, you know, at speed. Sometimes I like to take advantage of the draft, but once you get to a certain point, it just gets, you're playing a real gambling game at that point, and it could be a little bit different for the perspective of James Miller. I mean, some drivers, not everyone, has the advantage of a VR headset. Some drivers have the advantage of triple screens or a giant projector screen or whatever the case may be. Every driver's setup is a little bit different from the next, but the point being here, you know, depending on what you can see visually with your own 2 eyes, is going to help you visualize and be able to know where everything is in the virtual space. You can kind of do a little mental jujitsu and kind of figure out, you know, where your sides are, where the front end of your car is, where the rear end is, things like that. You kind of develop a little bit of sense to where those things are in the virtual space. But yeah, I don't know, Gareth, what about you? I mean, when you're in a situation like this, how close are you going to be following?
I get very scared when I'm right behind someone. I find it's very hard to know exactly where the front of the car is, and you know, especially these ARCA cars. Let's not forget the nose is actually quite a lot lower than the rear end of these cars, so you can actually get underneath the car in front of you before you actually touch, which does mean when you do touch, it lifts the car up in front and creates a hell of a smoke show. So Yeah, these cars very, very different to know just where the ends will actually meet and where the front and rear of the cars quite just are. But and that's part of the reason why I'm so impressed with James Miller at the moment. He seems to be able to find that perfect balance of.
Oh!
And this has happened once again where I'm talking and then it happens the opposite of what I just said. So, um, unfortunately, that did happen there at the exit of turn 2, and yeah, Jaden Hopp just got. Well, I think Miller got a little bit too friendly with Jaden Hopp is the way to describe that one.
I think that's a good description, and yeah, I don't think there's really any need to describe this one here, folks, as Gareth was kind of describing it before it even happened, and there it is, right underneath the 81 machine. James Miller gets his front end right underneath the rear end. Ashley Lyle getting some of that, and Tony
wow.
Hilbrand's. Wow.
Ashley Lyle, I think, avoided all. I don't know how, but I think she actually avoided all contact just then.
Incredible.
There's no way, surely. That's. Oh.
Let's take a look here and see the damage here to both Tony Hilbrand's and Ashley Lyle's machines as they're going to make their way. Oops, that's the wrong camera. Down here into pit road, and I don't know, Gareth. I think those two machines look fairly clean. I think they managed to get by with either minor scrapes to the paint or nothing at all.
Well, Hilbrand's definitely got a little bit of a touch hitting Hopp there on the outside, but I do think I don't know if we have a if we have some footage of it, but I do think that Ashley Lyle actually avoided that entire incident, which if she did, that's some amazing car control from her.
Taking a look here.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll just take a quick look and.
Wow, I think she barely tapped that rear end. Just
that was
barely.
A perfect slide. Are we sure that Ashley hasn't been a drifter in her past life, like, you know, a drifting expert? Because that the way that she got that that 51 machine turned to the left just after passing Hopp made it so that she didn't get into the back of Tony Hilbrand's. That was whether luck or skill. That was a perfectly timed slide to avoid any kind of damage at all on that 51 machine. So fantastic job from her.
Yeah, you know, and you know what? If with that kind of skill, maybe she should take up going to clutch kickers and giving that a shot, trying to win the $100,000 for the clutch kickers event. Which, Gareth, I'm sure you probably don't know, but that is it is a drifting event that is held here in America. Probably one of many, but it is the one that I know of, that I'm aware of. I don't necessarily follow the drifting culture too much, but I do happen to find myself watching those from time to time because that just looks so much fun, doesn't it?
It's incredible. It's incredible, the car control that you see from some people, and I've got to be honest, I don't know really anything about drifting apart from the way the scoring system works, and it's almost art the way they can make their cars go and slide about the way they do. I know that they're designed that way, just as these cars are designed to continue turning to the left and be very robust as they are. When they get into a small scrape, as you saw that, you know, Hilbrand's and Hopp both got involved in a small scrape there, but probably didn't even really accumulate more than like 10 seconds worth of damage, which is really nothing in the scheme of things. So, yeah, James Miller really trying to warm up his tires quite aggressively there, as a lot of the leaders came down, but I do not think, no, not everyone. These two leaders, Nicholas Corsell and James Coulibaly, neither of those drivers actually came down on this pit stop. So this will definitely be interesting, and Sean Williams, the big winner as well, coming out with the third place on the inside. Howie Briss is going to be stuck in fourth on the high side, so this will shape some things up, I'm sure, as we head off onto the green flag once again.
And here we go. Pace car is in. The green flag is up in the flag stand, and down it goes. Nicholas Corsell not taking any time at all here with the pedal to the floor here, off into turn number 1, and back just behind him duking it out here for the top 3 spots. The 22, James Coulibaly, having a little bit of a slow run here out of turn 2 through the kink here. James Coulibaly managing to get away from some of the action here, but behind him it only gets spicier as a hornet's nest starts to form behind him. James Miller, the first driver to get up to his rear end in the 22 Caterpillar machine. Sean Williams up on the outside of Tony Hillbrands. Patrick Colby just behind them, and Jaden Hopp as well. A little bit of a shuffle there from Sean Williams as he tries to slow that car down before going into turn 1. Colby and Hillbrands still duking it out side by side. Miller and Coulibaly side by side through 3 for just a moment, but I think James Coulibaly going to make that passing attempt a little bit easy here as Patrick Colby sideways out of turn 4 into the wall. Manages to keep the race green, though. That's going to take a little bit of damage to that right rear for Patrick Colby, though. What a hit.
Yeah, that looked like quite a big hit, actually. Surprise, no caution. Very lucky with especially Michael Ashmore coming up behind, thankfully not getting involved in any sort of issues or woes. So good to see there. Howie Briss has found the lead once again from Nicholas Corsell. Now, tyres we assumed were going to be a big thing. Corsell trying to prove that it doesn't really matter the rubber underneath you, so you should see it interesting as Ashley Lyle trying to force the issue, get underneath Nicholas Corsell there. James Miller just setting the best lap of the race so far, a 28.9. So that's the first, I believe, sub 28 second lap, or sub 29, sorry, second lap that we've seen all race long at the moment. So James Miller really showing that he has pace as well, just behind Corsell and Ashley. Ashley made the move. James Miller with a huge dive. Now that's a incredible run. I did not expect to see that, as he's going to make the pass as well on Nicholas Corsell and get that pass done relatively smoothly.
Yeah, and Nicholas Corsell here, he's going to be fighting nearly 20 lap older tires, as well as James Coulibaly. Both of these drivers having not come in down through the pits during that last caution, so these guys are going to be at quite a disadvantage here at this point in the race. Now, I mean, you could look at it in the sense that they're staying out longer so that when they come into the pits later, they'll be able to stay out longer than the rest of the field. Theoretically, that might work here, but I don't know, Gareth. I think that's kind of a long shot, and it might not pay out the way that these drivers are hoping for, or maybe they're just out here just trying to have the best race that they possibly can, not really worrying about where they finish here tonight. But I know that Tony Hillbrands is not exactly thinking that here, as he's fighting himself alongside Nicholas Corsell in the Sour Patch 7 machine here as they go through 3 and 4, but Hillbrands able to work his way up into that 4th place spot here once again, holding on to 4th throughout this race here, and I think now at this point going to be looking to try and work his way up to the top 3 and crack his way into that top 3 spot.
Yeah, it's looking like, I mean, Hillbrands definitely wants to get back to unfortunately stuck in 4th for most of the race up to this point and has not been able to crack into the top 3 at all, and now he's not going to be very happy with the little bit of a fight that he just had with Corsell just behind, between the number 92 and the 7 machine. They had a little bit of a battle going on there, and that has allowed the likes of Briss, Miller and Lyle to really extend the gap ahead of them to about a second. So he's going to have some work cut out for him if he wants to get back up there into podium contention. But look at this, we've got a little bit going on near the back here. Well, I say near the back, it's sort of in the middle with Sean Williams, James Coulibaly and Scott Shire all very, very close together for the 7th, 8th and 9th position. Sean Williams getting a little bit ahead here of James Coulibaly. Coulibaly on the outside making it work somehow. That's incredible. There looks like a little bit of a touch, a little bit of a door slam going on. Scott Shire looking on, getting very much involved in this one. This is shaping up to be more of a battle than I certainly expected we'd have sort of in the mid-pack here. But yeah, Williams and Coulibaly showing that they definitely know how to get it done. And we've got a battle for the lead.
between James Miller, Howie Briss, these two duking it out here for the lead spot. And right now, Miller on the inside line, he's going to have an advantage here as they go through 3 and 4. Miller going to take the lead here for just a moment, but for how long is the question. Howie Briss is definitely going to have a response here for the 09 driver, keeping it alongside as they come out of turn 4. Heading into turn 1, Howie Briss going to have to back off here just a little bit. I think he's going to try and do a little bit of a switcheroo move as they come out of 2 and through the kink here, setting himself up to get ready going into turn 3. There it is, move down onto the inside. Not quite going to have enough speed this time around. We're going to continue to trail along here with James Miller, but Miller now going to have an opportunity to lead some laps and potentially, well, given that we're almost halfway through the race here, things are looking good for Miller. He's had a good run here tonight. Will he be able to capitalize on this lead and take it all the way to the checkered flag?
Yeah, I almost wonder about that though, because Miller has been a little bit looser than a lot of the other cars that we've seen up near the front. Howie Briss is always able to stay consistent and not have too many issues in regards to getting a little bit loose there, but James Miller, you can see the rear end just stepping out a little bit, has had a few taps with the wall, just very, very light little love taps on the outside, especially of turn 2, as you can see there. There's a little bit of another one heading before the kink, so might have to watch the exit of that corner a little bit, but maybe it's working and not causing too much damage at it. There's no real deformations in the car, so it could be working in his favor to keep doing a run like that. If he's able to hit the mark perfectly every time, I don't see why not, as it seems to be working wonders, as he's already opened almost a half a second gap to Howie Briss just behind, and Ashley Lyle, struggling a little bit further back, has fallen as well. We've got a battle shaping up between Colby Williams and Koulibaly, as well as Scott Shire. Koulibaly a little bit further back than these three just here, but this is for 7th position at the moment, so Scott Shire able to get past these two, as we saw was behind them just before we switched back to the battle for the lead. So able to get by, but not able to get away, as Colby really sending it and getting a nice run through turns 1 and 2. And getting a little bit loose as well. Obviously not wanting to get that too sorted out, but also wanting the spot very much so from Scott Shire, the 7th position up for grabs. So Patrick Colby really trying to get that 9 machine pointed the right direction and dialed in.
Yeah, Patrick's definitely on a mission here, and I mean, got to give credit here to Scott Shire as well. Not having the, I would say, probably the best race that he was hoping for here tonight. Down 1 spot from where he started, but frankly, able to keep himself up here in the top 10, close to the top 5 as well. I mean, Jaden Hopp just about a second and a half, just under a second and a half actually in closing. So, I mean, he's definitely still got some pace here in the Fox 4 machine, but whether or not he's going to continue to keep that pace going through this stint remains to be the question. Some drivers seemingly not quite having the best long-run strategies here tonight, or really just the best long-run luck here. This is definitely a tough, unforgiving track, especially when it comes to tires. So, like we've been seeing, you know, drivers getting very, very loose in that rear end, fighting this car through and through. As Gareth has mentioned a few times throughout this broadcast, this track is basically kind of like one giant turn, and these tires are going to see a lot of abuse here. So drivers all have to be very, very proficient in managing those tires. You see a little bit of a wobble there from Ashley Lyle. So it's not just the mid-pack, it's not just the tail end, it's every single driver here that's having to fight their tires here tonight. And Tony Hilbrand's looking to put up a fight here for the top 3. Excuse me, the top 3, as now Ashley Lyle, the 51 driver, sits just under a quarter of a second ahead of him.
Yeah, and you can see just out of picture that James Miller has really opened a gap over Howie Briss, over a second, heading into 1.3 seconds at the moment, just across the line. So definitely found something, but hopefully not chewing up his tires too much, as this battle is really heating up between Hilbrands and Lyle. Hilbrand's been just really trucking along and been catching up to Ashley closer and closer. Ashley's getting a little bit too low, it looks like, on exit, with especially around 4. Let's see if she does it again. No, she's going to keep it just above the line. That's a perfect exit there. But has been getting a little bit below that yellow line on the exit of 4 and really just getting that car loose. So that's certainly not helping her exit speed, and really that's allowed Hilbrands to catch up a little bit here. But just ahead of them, Howie Briss has also fallen back and into their clutches. So this could definitely shape up to be a 3-car battle once again for one of the podium spots.
Yeah, you know, and I gotta wonder here if Howie Briss has kind of maybe taken a step back here in, you know, seeing that James Miller has increased his gap to over 1.5 seconds now. Howie Briss might be in the mindset of, let's conserve, let's not abuse our tires trying to, you know, track down this guy and make the pass just to, you know, take home a win here tonight. Howie Briss doesn't need a win, you know, for the championship. He just needs to finish in the top 3, and really not, realistically, probably not even that. So Howie Briss is just looking for the best finish he can get, but also trying to be smart about his finish. I don't think we've really ever seen Howie Briss take any sort of huge risky maneuvers like what I've just mentioned, you know, trying to track down a driver who's well over 1 second away from you, just trying to burn through your rubber practically uselessly, to almost no avail at some points. But you know, now that he's found himself with Ashley Lyle and Tony Hilbrands in his tow, that kind of makes me wonder if he's going to start to turn the Jets back up here and keep these drivers along with him and potentially start to track down James Miller, using kind of that draft to his advantage here.
Yeah, and in order to do that, they need to not fight amongst themselves, because that'll allow James Miller even more of a chance to really open up that gap between the two of them, between himself and the pack behind here at the moment. But it looks like no one's told Tony Hilbrands, as he looked a little bit to the outside of Ashley Lyle there, who herself got a little bit low and underneath Howie Briss. So these drivers all running slightly different lines, slightly different variants, and trying to make everything work, as Hilbrands gets right on the back bumper of Ashley Lyle and following her through that corner, might be setting something up for turn 1, and looks like he will try and force the issue as he gets to the rear quarter panel and dives it in deep, and looks like he's going to take that spot. But Ashley's got the exit. A lot of respect among these drivers to give them a lot of room. No real issues among these drivers at all today, as Ashley Lyles continue to be stuck high up on the high side with Tony Hilbrands just below. And Howie Briss probably wanting to see this continue, as it means that he should hopefully be able to make his way away from these drivers. Ashley Lyle is going to give up the spot. You can see the break early and just say, you know what, Tony, if you want it that bad, you can have it. And we'll try and use this together to try and catch back up to Briss and make another run on him. So, yeah, these drivers looking very racy, and we're not even halfway through this one, Mason.
No, not even. Just about. We're getting there, but I want to point out and mention here as well, we've got Thomas Sewell in the chat saying, Shire saves tires better than anyone in the league. Cannot count him out. So we got to keep an eye open here for Scott Shire in that number 4 machine here. Currently sitting 7th at the moment, but again, could be kind of playing a little bit of a conservation game here. Just, you know, playing an underdog strategy, if you will. Not that it's intentional that you do that, but great to have Thomas Sewell joining us here in the chat, watching the race here tonight. Unfortunately, not going to be racing in tonight's race, but as always, great to have him out here. Yeah, Gareth, this has been phenomenal racing, and we're just about 4 laps to go to halfway. And I gotta say, you know, with the action that we're seeing up here in the front of the field, it just makes me wonder what's going to happen once the 25 laps left to go comes across our screens. What kind of action will we see then, and what drivers are going to be up here in that top 3 spots? when that time comes around. And Tony Hilbrands continues to try and push his way up to Howie Briss here. Also trying to do a little bit of peekaboo here. He's looking on either side of Howie, trying to see an open line here. And Ashley Lyle taking advantage of the open spot that Tony Hilbrands has left open here. Now going to be on the inside, heading in through turns 1 and 2, battling for the third place spot here once again.
Yeah, absolutely nothing between these two drivers. Tony Hilbrand's desperate to stay in that third position. Ashley Lyle has made her way back up from what we saw earlier, which was back down in about 7th or 8th spot. So she is definitely making her way, and has made her way back up through the field. Even before the first caution, we saw her work her way up very, very quickly. And on old tires, she seemed to be a little bit faster than some of these guys up front. But that, as we say, that may have been due to battling. So she's caught at the moment with Tony Hilbrands. They look like they're pretty much identical on pace. Their last times by were, well, Tony Hilbrands was a little bit quicker, about a 10th faster, but I believe was also in Ashley Lyle's toes. So there's not much separating these two drivers at all at the moment. No, at the moment, yeah, they are setting almost identical lap times, and you can really see that as they continue to be side by side behind Howie Briss. And James Miller has just, he's out of the park. He's 2.5 seconds at the moment in front of Howie Briss, with these two battling for the third position at the moment. They must be really desperate to speak to you here tonight, Mason, for that third place interview.
Yeah, that's a very good possibility here. And, you know, Gareth, what I was just thinking about here to myself is, you know, racing side by side like this, wow, Tony Hilbrand saving that one. He felt that car getting a little bit loose coming out of 2 there. But what I was about to mention here, racing side by side like this on the ovals, I don't know, I feel like it's a lot more nerve-wracking than it is on the road courses, at least in my experience. You know, when you're full throttle, pedal to the metal, 150, 200 miles an hour, and you're side by side with someone, you know, the slightest twitch of the wheel, and everything just goes south in a matter of milliseconds. I don't know, Gareth, it's just something about it just gets my heart pumping a little bit more than it does on the road courses.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% agree with you there, Mason, because especially with like the turbulent air around these cars as they continue to go around, these cars, I believe they get actually affected by the wind a lot more than road cars, any type of road car. You know, they use downforce, they're effective, whatever. Same thing here with these machines, but the difference is that these machines you find actually get pushed sideways with the air of the other car right next to them quite a bit. So definitely a lot more of a handful, in my opinion, when you're in the amount of traffic that you can find yourself in with these ARCA cars here today, especially as well. We've just passed the halfway mark. We have 95 to go, and they're going to be 95 exciting laps. Don't go anywhere. This is going to be incredible. Tony Hilbrands has let Ashley Lyle through as we were talking. Now, both of these drivers did, unfortunately, because they were battling, they have let Howie Briss get to 0.8 of a second in front of them at the moment. So that's probably why they've decided, maybe not the best idea to go side by side at the moment. But there's a car that was a little bit high. I think that might have been Howie Briss actually a little bit up there, as we see Koulibaly at the moment. Looks like a little bit of damage to the front right there.
Yeah, so I got indication that Koulibaly got a little off track here, and I thought maybe that James might have gotten a little bit of a worse situation here, but it looks like he was able to recover from that and still able to keep racing here. But yeah, it does look to be that he suffered. Well, actually, now that I'm looking at it a little bit closer, it doesn't appear that he's got too much damage, so might have just got a little bit loose, got into the grass a little bit, but ultimately, again, able to recover from that little bit of an incident, and ultimately keeping this race green here, just past the halfway mark, lap 107 of 200. folks, it has been phenomenal racing here tonight at Phoenix International Raceway, the 2008 scan of this track here on the iRacing service. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take a quick commercial break here. Don't go anywhere. We've still got plenty more racing left here to be seen for the Phoenix 200 here with the 2022 VRL Cup Series. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back for more iRacing right here on Team Goon Squad. Welcome back, race fans. Lap 110 of 200 here at Phoenix International Raceway. We're continuing on with the action here, along with Jaden Hopp and Scott Shire, who are fighting for the 6th place spot here at this moment. Jaden Hopp in the 81 DeWalt machine, having fallen down the field here a little bit into 6th place from that 2nd place spot where he started in tonight's race. Definitely not going to be ideal for the 81 driver here tonight. Probably not exactly what he was looking for, but again, this is an extremely tough track, at least for me. It's a tough track for me. Definitely one of the tougher tracks that I have personally driven. Probably up there with maybe Pocono. As far as Pocono's not that flat, but this is definitely up there. Anyhow. We have seen Howie Briss lead most of the laps here tonight, but now James Miller having taken away that lead and doing a phenomenal job at doing so. Over 3 seconds that James Miller has now made it between himself and 2nd place driver Howie Briss, who is now being contested by Ashley Lyle here in the number 51 machine, going through... Man, I'm mixing up my words here. Going through 3 and 4. Lyle down on the inside as they come out of 4 and across the checkered line here. Going into turn 1, Howie Briss going to be up on the outside lane. Going to see if he puts a run up here. Going out of 2, does not appear to be able to do so here. Lyle going to be able to secure her spot into 2nd place here, heading into turn 3. So I don't know, Gareth. I mean, what are we thinking here for Howie Briss? Do you think that he could have potentially burned off those tires a little bit too early trying to fight with James Miller?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I wouldn't have thought so. That's not a typical Howie Briss kind of driving style, but that might just be the case, as he does look like he's fallen back. But in an alternative view, he might be deciding to save to save fuel, because the more fuel he can save at this point in the race, if we get a late race caution, or even if we continue to stay green, he will have fresher tires for when he makes his exit on pit road. So that could really play a factor, and that might be what's going through his head at the moment. I'm not sure. I'm not in Howie Briss's car or his mind at the moment, but he's usually a very calculated, very thoughtful driver. Always thinking about outcomes and what he could do better to benefit himself, and possibly knowing that he doesn't have to push all that hard, because he's almost secured a championship at this point, I believe, if he finishes this race in any of the 14 spots that we have available at the moment. I believe that he is going to claim that championship title come next week. So possibly deciding that he just wants to take it easy and just have fun out there. Still showing, of course, that the pace is there, and we never had that in doubt. But maybe deciding to play a little strategy game and just see how it works out for him.
Yeah, and another thing that I just kind of realized here as well is we're just about 60 laps into this run here for these drivers. So definitely in the later stage of these drivers' stints. So it could be the fact that, you could be exactly right here that Howie is in the mindset of conserving fuel, as well as what little of the tires that he currently has left, trying to get as much use out of them as they possibly can. Now, we did have a 20-lap window for fuel here tonight. It was 75 to 95 laps for drivers here today. So I think you might be right on the money there, Gareth. I think Howie is definitely in the mindset of, okay, it's time to start thinking a little bit more conservatively here to prepare for the end of the race, because they're going to be coming into the pits here within 30 laps. So before lap 150, drivers are going to come in, they're going to get a fresh set of tires, they're going to get fuel, and it's going to be about a 60 to 70 lap-ish dash to the end, which is just under a full stint here. So I don't know. This is going to be, I think we started off the show saying that it was going to be a strategy race here tonight, and I think we've definitely hit that point here of the race.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with you. And, James Miller is also etched out a big lead at the moment, 3.2 seconds. So really it's James Miller's race to lose at the moment, but we don't know how that's going to play with 80 laps left. Definitely could see some strategy playing a big role. Ashley Lyle herself in second position has been putting down faster lap times actually than your leader at the moment of James Miller. So Ashley Lyle showing pace, and has been showing pace on the long runs even in the past, really, and this race as well. We have seen Ashley Lyle really, after about the halfway mark on tire usage, she just seems to still get as much as she can out of the rubber underneath her, and it looks like other drivers, including the ever consistent Howie Briss, just not able to match her for skills in pace under old tires. And that's an incredible skill to have when you have these long green flag runs like the one we're seeing at the moment.
Yeah, this is, I think this is, for some drivers here, this might be what they want to see, these long green flag runs, to be able to get the most out of their stints here. Some drivers who may be looking at an opportunity, to move up a spot in the championship. Again, Howie Briss has pretty much clinched the title for the championship this year, but there's still drivers fighting for second place, third place, fourth place, even fifth place in the championship. So drivers just looking to get the best finish for their season here and look forward into 2023 and carry that momentum and see what they can do, self-improve, see what they can do better as a driver looking into next season. Now, I don't have an exact schedule looking into next year, but talking with Tony a little bit and kind of getting some information from behind the scenes, next year is going to be an exciting season, and it's going to have a lot of great racing. So, folks, if you aren't already subscribed to the Team Goon Squad YouTube channel, I would recommend you do so. You want to catch all the action that we have here, not only for the VRL Cup Series, but for all the other series that we cover here on TGS. It's always a good time. And for Don Hilbrands and Thomas Sewell, thank you both for your kind comments. I very much appreciate it. Both myself and Gareth, we both very much appreciate the words here. As James Coulibaly is going to take it down here into pit road while we're having this little bit of a discussion here. So, seeing some drivers take the opportunity to come down here through the pits. Tony Hilbrands, Nicholas Corcel here as well. And Don...
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me here. Don Hilbrands, I do not have a point standing, unfortunately. Tony was not able to get that to me before tonight's race, but it is all good. I have a rough idea of where everyone is at currently in the championship.
Briss is 264 points ahead of Nicholas Lovell, who did not turn up tonight in the second position, and not too far behind him is Hilbrands and Hop, who are both here and both in a battle for third at the moment. So that's what I've got in my notes. And Scott Shire, I was going to say working his way around Corsell, but Corsell obviously just having that pit stop, so he's going to have fresh tyres, and you can really see the difference there. Also making his way around Hop, trying to get his lap back. But something interesting to talk about, Corsell actually managed to basically go as far as he could on those tyres and made his way into pit road for a scheduled pit stop, having not actually pit during our second caution flag and staying out front for the beginning of this run. But Tony Hilbrands came in actually at the same lap as Nicholas Corsell, and Hilbrands came in early from his stop. So that's an interesting strategy call from him, and you saw James Koulibaly come in as well when we cycled to those pit stops. So these three drivers, Corsell with a little bit of an exception considering he was on his proper fuel stint window. Hilbrands and Koulibaly trying something different here. I'm not sure if they thought, we'll take some new tyres and really get that dialed in quick and make up the positions as quick as we can, because it does benefit to pit early, or if they're going to struggle, if there's a long green flag run, that might just come back to bite them.
Yeah, you know, and it's always a gamble kind of taking these quote-unquote undercut strategies, if you will. Coming in before the rest of the field, just getting in while the pit road is clear and empty and no one else is in, it can pay off. Sometimes it can work to your advantage, to your favor, but it also depends on when the rest of the field is going to come in. I mean, if you're coming in 20 laps earlier, you're going to be fighting 20-lap older tires when the rest of the field finally comes through. It's again, it's a huge gamble. You have to be on your mark when you're making that undercut strategy. I mean, it's almost, again, it's a gamble. You're looking to get as close to when everyone else is coming in, but also not too far away that you're going to be fighting significantly older tires when the checkered flag comes to fly. But right now, I mean, drivers are continuing to turn laps here at lap 132, and the leaders not necessarily showing any signs of coming down into the pits quite yet, albeit they are now in that window of coming down into the pits here momentarily. So I would have to imagine here for the drivers in the top 4 spots, rather the top 5 spots, are going to have to find themselves coming down through the pits here within the next 10 laps.
Yeah, Michael Ashmore has just made his way down into the pits, so the first of those drivers that didn't pit super early and coming down around about the start of the pit window here. So it could be interesting to see how everything sort of shapes out as we continue under these green flag conditions. But James Miller with a huge lead. Lyle has actually cut it down a little bit though, and I will say these drivers that have pit early, you know, we say it's a big gamble, and it is a big gamble to get those tires as quick as they did. They are turning laps about a second or so quicker than the leaders at the moment. So if the leaders take too long to come down pit road, they might find themselves further back than they want to be to drivers like Nicholas Corsell and Tony Hilbrands, and they might actually struggle to close that gap when the tires even out, which they eventually will do on these long flag runs. So as we've got James Miller heading down pit road, so he's going to relinquish the lead. Ashley Lyle will stay out for the moment, and Howie Briss as well, as James Miller will come down, put on 4 fresh tires and get her filled with fuel enough to the end.
James Miller looking to get in and out as quickly as possible. Going to get into his stall as efficiently as he possibly can here. Ashley Lyle, Howie Briss, Jaden Hopp, Scott Shire all out here in our top 4 spots. And Tony Hilbrand's going to be looking to unlap himself once the rest of the field makes their way down through the pits. And right now, Ashley Lyle currently ahead of him out on track, but given that he is a lap down, given that he came in through pit road, lap 124, ooh, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, that, wow. If that was any closer between those drivers, that could have ended a lot worse. And Ashley Lyle, Tony Hilbrand side by side through 3 and 4. Lyle a little bit of a wobble there as she comes out of turn 4. Hilbrand's able to capitalize on that, move himself up into 6th place. While they're not exactly fighting for positions here, James Miller is for that 6th place spot. Ashley Lyle, though, definitely fighting older tires now at this point, given that she's still on the same set of tires since lap 63. So this is a good, clear example to the folks watching at home just how much a fresh set of Goodyears will do for you here at this point in the race.
Oh, absolutely. We've seen it time and time again that the new tires really outclass the old ones. Doesn't really matter what track that you're going to, but this is eventually going to be the battle for the lead unless Lyle gets a great stop. But what we're looking at here right now, as I say, this is going to be the battle for the lead once we cycle the pit stops all the way through. And James Miller, quite a few laps fresher tires, is able to make that pass fairly cleanly on Tony Hilbrand's just there. So as pointed out to us in the spectator area, Dawn saying that Tony looked a little bit loose, which is why he decided to come down earlier. So probably a smart idea, just in case you may find yourself not only staying out for a potential caution, but becoming said caution. So if there is a late race caution, though, these tires will all even themselves out, as I'm sure everyone's going to get them, because they're such a huge, they will play such a huge role in the end for this one. And track position, while I believe it's a strong place to be, I think tires win out here.
Yeah, I think definitely a lot of drivers that haven't come down into the pits at this point are going to be thinking about coming down into pit road here now. I mean, even seeing Ashley Lyle here, the current race leader, fighting that 51 machine, trying to keep that thing in a straight line. I definitely wouldn't want to be behind the wheel of that thing at this point. It would definitely be a monster to try and keep steady here. But Howie Briss, the 97 machine, he is going to take things in here on lap 142. So gonna see what he can do on a little bit fresher tires than that of James Miller and Tony Hilbrand. It's going to be about 10 laps fresher than James Miller, 20 laps fresher than Tony Hilbrand's once he's worked his way back out onto the track here. And Ashley Lyle, that's her cue to come down into pit road here as well. So now expecting to see Jaden Hopp, Scott Shire, Sean Williams, and Patrick Colby, who's ironically been out here as well on the same set of tires in the number 9 machine, going to be looking to come down into pit road here very shortly as well. But Jaden Hopp, Scott Shire, Sean Williams, those are going to be your top 3 drivers at the moment. But once they come through pit road, it's going to be James Miller, Tony Hilbrand's, and depending on if... Nope, okay, yeah, it's going to be James Miller, Tony Hilbrand's, Nicholas Corcel, and I believe Howie Briss in our top 4 once things are all said and done.
Yeah, I think Howie Briss and Ashley Lyle stayed out just a little bit too long. I do believe that Ashley Lyle tried to come in a lap before she was able to, but James Coulibaly had quite a run coming up behind her, and rather than getting potentially spun, she decided to stay out for one more lap, because it's a bit of an awkward pit entry because you stay on the racing line pretty much all the way through turn 3 and even almost all of turn 4 before you actually head down. It's such a awkward kind of an exit that I believe she did that just for self-preservation more than anything else. But Jaden Hopp in the lead at the moment. We will be keen to look at when he decides to come down, as well as Scott Shire. We have heard about how Scott Shire is able to just somehow save tires more than anyone else, and proving that at the moment as he's catching up, I think, slightly to Jaden Hopp at the moment. So really getting it done as Ashley Lyle goes through there and takes, or is attempting on those new tires to get her lap back from Jaden Hopp just ahead, you can see there. So she will be working her way around there, hopefully before the caution comes out, if there is going to be one. And Sean Williams has just come down pit road as well.
Yep, Sean Williams, the 89 machine, going to be down in his stall, getting a fresh set of good years in fuel. It looks to be he's down here for a little bit longer than he might. Nope, there it is. Okay, I just couldn't see it from that camera angle. It looked like he was stuck there for a second. Might have been served a penalty or something, but nope, he's in and out just fine. So now we're waiting to see how this is going to develop here. We're still waiting for Jaden Hopp and Scott Shire to make their way down into the pits here as well. Those two drivers going to be holding out the longest on a single set of tires. So definitely taking the longest run that they possibly can here. I'm not sure if it's going to exactly pay out in any sort of way. It's probably just a matter of being able to stay out as long as they can here. But for James Miller, Tony Hilbrands, and Nicholas Corcel, I mean, these four, and Howie Briss here, it is going to be a fight for the top four, and Howie Briss already looking to surpass Nicholas Corcel here as they make their way through the kink, and Scott Shire making his way down through the pits. So slowly but surely going to see the last and final driver, Jaden Hopp, make his way down through the pits. Actually, Patrick Colby as well. Those two drivers going to still be out on the same set of tires. But this is going to shape up to be what is going to now be 51 laps left here for the Phoenix 200. Gareth, this is what we've been waiting for, and it is only getting more intense and really just posing more questions.
Oh yeah, it's you know, we talked at the top of the show about how it's going to be a strategy game, and it really has been. And I think the ultimate winner, while he's not out front at the moment, is definitely Nicholas Corcel, because Corcel did not come down during the caution when everyone else did. Stayed up front, got a couple of laps, I believe got a lap or two led, as well as stayed near the front for most of that run, coming down in the normal fuel stint and tyre wear kind of time in the normal pit stop window, I should say, and has come out here and continued to hold on to the top five. So at the moment, like Corcel, Hop has just come in, so there he comes to a stop. So yeah, Nicholas Corcel, your biggest mover and biggest winner so far of the pit strategy game for this race at the moment, up 6 positions. So one crazy job, and a great job from Nicholas Corcel with some Sour Patch.
Definitely doing a great job here in tonight's race, and kind of unexpected here in the final half of the, well, quarter of the race rather, up here in the top 5 spots, just having a very steady, very calm race, not trying to put himself in too much of risky situations, albeit he has been in some side-by-side action here tonight, but has done phenomenal managing that and able to work his way around that action and keep himself in tonight's race. And that's not to say here that we've really seen a whole lot of drivers find themselves out of the race. So far, Michael Ashmore, Tom Mercia, and Howie Dietrich have all retired from the race here tonight due to one reason or another. So out of the 14 drivers that we've had here, 10 of them still going to be racing here at this moment. So still a lot of opportunities to be had for passing opportunities and the like. So, but what's more interesting to note here, Gareth, at this point in the race is that Tony Hilbrands, I mean, the top 3 essentially, they're all over 2 seconds away from each other, and that just kind of bodes the question, you know, are we going to see these guys stack up to one another again, or is it going to be a relatively, well, lonesome racetrack for these guys when the checkered flag flies?
Yeah, and you really feel that, especially with James Miller and Tony Hilbrands, especially, you know, battling with people throughout the entire race, and then the the pit stops happen, you come out and you're like, where'd everyone go? And somehow that's just how it works out sometimes. And yeah, it can feel very lonely, and sometimes you can make some mistakes because you don't have a reference of the driver in front of you within eyesight to really gauge on just how you're performing. But Scott Shire getting very, very close to Sean Williams at the moment, so looking like there might be a little bit of a battle shaping up for the 6th position here, as Scott Shire asking the question, Mason, what is the Fox saying?
Oh gosh, I know this. It's, oh man. Gareth, it's been so long since since I've listened to that. It's been a long time. I'm actually surprised that you've never heard of Fox before. I figured it was a little bit more of a worldwide brand, I suppose, but I didn't know that that you folks down in Australia perhaps didn't know about it, or maybe just you yourself didn't know about it, and it's kind of a new thing for you. But yeah, the Fox machine definitely has probably one of the cooler paint schemes out here. You know, very simple, very simplistic. Doesn't have a whole lot of crazy colors to it or anything like that. It's just green and black. Very simple. Like it, love it, and obviously, being here in the Americas, I'm all but familiar with the Fox brand and all of the, well, growing up, all the dirt bikes and all the dirt bike equipment that I've seen that they've had. So anyhow, as we were riding on board there with Scott Shire for just a little bit, seeing what the Ford machine was doing behind Sean Williams, trying to catch up to Sean and make a pass here for the 6th place spot. Just about 40 laps left to go here, Gareth, and, you know, kind of looking at the field, you know, James Miller coming home last week from Laguna with a podium on 2nd place, sitting up here in 1st right now after a very, very interesting fight between himself and Howie Brisk, kind of honestly unexpected. It really seemed like Howie was fighting older tires at that point, but James Miller definitely making the best of it as now. We got side-by-side action here with Sean Williams and Scott Shire as they come across the checkered line heading into turn 1. Williams going to be down on the inside lane here, but Shire a little bit more speed up on top as they come out of 2 and onto the short straight heading into turn 3.
Yeah, Jaden Hopple as well, just behind these two with a lot fresher tires. So I say a lot, about 5 laps, but you know, every lap makes a difference. And yeah, Scott Shire able to make that pass on Sean Williams. Jaden Hop is going to try and follow him through. I've been trying desperately not to make the hop, skip, and a jump call with Jaden Hop as he makes his way around cars, but yeah, just getting a little bit of the wall there, it looked like, on the exit of turn 2. So we'll have to re-evaluate the way he takes that corner and try and slow it down a little bit more as he catches up to Sean Williams here in the 89 machine. But yeah, this battle between 6, 7, and 8 is not going away anytime soon. I mean, Scott Shire has opened a little bit of a gap, probably about half a second at the moment, and James Miller just ahead of these 3. So interestingly, looks like Miller is going a little bit slower than Scott Shire at the moment. And in terms of pace, James Miller had a 29.7 last time by, and Scott Shire a 29.4. So definitely Miller slowing down a little bit as opposed to Scott Shire, as we've got the move here into turn 1. A little bit of a dive, a big dive, big run as well from Jaden Hop. There's the hop as he goes past Sean Williams there, and also avoiding making a joke about any kind of rabbit, because there are a whole bunch of rabbits that live around my farm. And I know that's not of anyone else's concern but my own, but I'm still going to say it anyway. As we've got... yeah, but interesting to see that James Miller has slowed his almost, I'm not sure if he slowed his pace down. He did come in about 10 laps earlier than any of the 3 drivers in this battle at the moment. So might decide that it's smarter to let these 3 go around, and that got very, very close. with Scott Shire there, and that's the last thing James Miller wants to do is get involved in an accident here.
Yeah, and with this being lap traffic here as well, you know, typically the priority is given to the lead lap drivers, and in this case, James Miller is the only driver on the lead lap in this group right here. So all three of these guys are trying to get themselves back up front into the lead lap and essentially just give themselves a little bit of a better fight here going into the end. But in order to do that, they have to get around James Miller to make that happen, and it's not going to be as easy as 1, 2, 3. James Miller's definitely putting up a fight here. Well, not necessarily a fight, but man, it's a tough situation all around. Miller being up on the outside lane here, it's not the preferred line. It's going to slow him down just a little bit here. And looking at timing and scoring, Tony Hillbrands is definitely taking advantage of this fact and is slowly starting to chip away at that gap between himself and James Miller, albeit not by much, but enough that potentially here, with 30 laps left to go, it might be a problem. But with nearly 8.5 seconds between Miller and Tony Hillbrands, I'm not sure that Miller is going to be worrying about too much at this point. But anything can still happen. There is still plenty of opportunities for drivers to make mistakes, and especially with this being the final stint of the race, I think that just opens the door up for that possibility even further.
Oh, absolutely. And James Miller just, he has found himself, he's still under fire from Sean Williams just behind as well. So we'll want to let these guys go, I'd imagine. But I'm sitting up in the booth with you, Mason. I'm not down in the driver's seat, so I'm not really sure what's going on in their minds. But if I was James Miller, I would definitely let Sean go. But if he thinks he's got a little bit more pace, then he'll stay in front and hopefully not get too much involved as he's let the other two go. Now Jaden Hopp is really closing up to Scott Shire just ahead. So there you go. As Scott, God, where am I? Sean Williams. I'm looking at Scott Shire. I'm talking about Sean Williams, and I'm getting confused. But I shouldn't really. One's green and black, and one's blue and white. You can't get much more contrast than that. But there you go. So yeah, Scott Shire and Jaden Hopp definitely still having this battle over here, and this will be for the 6th position. Now, it did benefit them quite a bit to pass James Miller, all three of these guys, because if they do have a late caution really coming out towards the end of this run, they will all be on the lead lap and they'll all be able to catch back up to the field with fresh tires. So that is actually a huge factor that plays into their hands. James Miller hasn't actually fallen back a whole lot from Tony Hillbrands since letting Sean Williams, Jaden Hopp and Scott Shire all go past. He's lost a few tenths, but nothing major. Still, the gap being about 8 seconds to Tony Hillbrands in 2nd place at the moment. So nothing too untoward really happening at the moment from all of that, as it sort of just enveloped or passed by, for lack of a better word. But yeah, Jaden Hopp trying to go underneath Scott Shire once again.
Trying to keep it up here in the 7th place battle here, riding along, or excuse me, the 6th place battle here as we ride along with Jaden Hopp up on the roof camera. Lap 174 of 200. Next time around, 25 laps left to go. We'll come across our screen, and I can't imagine that with 25 laps left to go, that anyone is going to be able to catch up to anybody at this point with the gaps that we've seen throughout this field. Unless we see that caution come out, I really don't think anyone's going to have an opportunity for a fight for positions here, especially in the top 3. Now, that might be a good or a bad thing depending on who, where. Oh boy, right as I say it, Gareth Patrick Colby, I think the curse. Well, actually, oh boy.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
No caution at the moment. That's very surprising. I think he's going to have to tow there. Yeah, that's yeah, that front left really got a clobbering. Just, ooh. Colby
Take
was seen struggling with his car all day long, and just stepped out once again. This time at the exit of turn 2, and bang! Yikes!
yeah.
Oh, and then a little bit of a hood pop.
I don't know if he. It didn't look like he locked up the tires either. So, and that was quite an impact at speed. So, I don't know. I think Patrick Colby, he saw that one coming, and I think just let go of the wheel and just let it happen at that point. It really didn't seem like there was much he could do to try and save that one. But either way, either how, that is going to be the third caution of the race here, and that is going to give an opportunity for drivers not only to come down through the pits, get a fresh set of tires and fuel, but also to the rest of the field to unlap themselves, get themselves back on the lead lap here, and get ready for the next restart here. So, and I am getting confirmation that the caution was brought out because of the fact that Patrick Colby would have required a tow in order to make it back into pit road. That car would have not been able to make it back into the pits under its own power, given the damage to that front end here. But seeing drivers make their way out of the pits here, James Miller, Tony Hillbrands, Howie Briss, getting themselves racked and stacked here once again for another restart. And while drivers get themselves racked and stacked here, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break up here in the booth. Don't go anywhere, stay tuned, because we still have just a little over 20 laps to go for the Phoenix 200 here for the 2022 VRL Cup Series. We'll be back for more iRacing right here on Team Goon Squad in just a moment. Welcome back, race fans. 23 laps left to go here as the lights do go off on the pace car. So this will be the last time around before we go back to green flag for what will probably be the last time here tonight at Phoenix. Third caution of the race here, almost 200 miles that we have completed here today. And I gotta say, it has been phenomenal racing for every single one of these drivers that have turned up here tonight and that have stuck with the rest of the race here. Some drivers having fallen out of the race due to one reason or another. But ultimately, Gareth, I think we've seen some phenomenal racing, and I think we're about to see a phenomenal finish from these drivers as they get ready to take it green here.
Yeah, this has been what we've been alluding to, that might just happen, a late race caution. And while it's not super late, it's still come out towards the end, so it's going to be very interesting. James Miller, Tony Hillbrands, your very first row as they get the launch. James Miller, as I said, launched actually like a rocket ship, just really sending it out there. Tony Hillbrands almost gets caught up by Howie Briss, but Howie Briss not able to make that happen. Corsell on the high side able to make it work pretty well. Ashley Lyle trying to get underneath. This is almost going to be 3 wide heading into turn 3. Corsell, the ultimate loser, staying on the high side. Ashley Lyle forcing Briss up there. Briss getting a little bit too heavy. Lyle taking both spots in one corner. fantastic move from Ashley Lyle, really making the positions up as quickly as she can. And fantastic stuff. Howie Briss a little bit higher than he wants to be on the exit of turn 2, but looking like able to fall back in line. James Miller having a huge breakaway already to Tony Hilbrands, who's a little bit looser than he'd like to be at the moment. Ashley Lyle making gains like crazy as we head back down the front straightaway.
Ashley Lyle is on a mission here. Oh, Tony Hilbrands there. A big break there from the 92 machine heading into turn 1. I'm not sure if that was intentional or what the case was. I think he might have just, he might have realized that he was going to be a little late had he not gotten on the brakes at that point in time. But yeah, Ashley Lyle, very impressive moves here, up into second place now. And looking a little bit further beyond that, we've got battles between Jaden Hopp and Scott Shire here with 19 laps left to go. All of these drivers looking for the best possible finish here tonight, and James Miller continues with his extremely impressive lead here tonight after really taking it away here from Howie Briss about halfway through the race, actually just before halfway, and has not been able, or has not seen anyone pass him ever since. So definitely great run here for James Miller in carrying that momentum forward from last week, looking to capitalize on that here tonight at Phoenix. But continuing on, 17 laps left to go. It is go time here for every single one of these drivers. And for Tony Hilbrands, having lost that second place spot to Ashley Lyle just a few moments ago, I think that's probably set him into the mindset now that, okay, I can't let that happen again. This is where I stand. This is the Alamo for me here in this third place spot. So with 16 laps, it might not sound like a lot here, but 16 miles at nearly 30 seconds a lap, that can feel like an eternity behind the wheel when your heart is racing like it's never been before.
Oh, and I can guarantee you these drivers, their hearts are pounding out of their chests at the moment. Ashley Lyle's actually been sending it. She has been clocking off laps that have been faster than our current leader every lap so far. So James Miller is going to be really put under pressure here. As you can see, another move slightly further back. Jaden Hopp trying to go underneath Nicholas Corsell. That's going to be your battle for 5th. Jaden Hopp making his way around Scott Shire earlier on in this run, just after the restart. They swapped positions constantly on the older tires just before that restart. So Jaden Hopp proving that he's slightly quicker on the short runs for sure, as he tries to make another lunge down Corsell on the inside. Not able to make it happen. Corsell checks him up, but Jaden Hopp gets a much better run on the exit. Not sure if it's going to be enough to make it happen though. The front of the field getting a little bit more stretched out, so this is going to be the closest battle at the moment by a considerable margin, as they are nose to tail heading down the front straightaway once again. Jaden Hopp looking a little bit lower than Nicholas Corsell, tucking back in. Not sure if there's going to be a late dive. No, there's not. Jaden Hopp backs out, trying to get a run on the exit. Look at that. Here he comes back. Not sure if that's going to really be enough. Corsell not letting it happen, as Hopp is going to just continue to watch the Sour Patch go around, dangling in front of him like it's on a fishing pole, wanting some candy.
I love that analogy. That was beautiful. Great action here happening in the top 5 with Nicholas Corsell and Jaden Hopp currently duking it out for that 5th place spot. And looking up ahead, nothing much has changed here in the top 4. James Miller, Ashley Lyle, Tony Hilbrands, Howie Briss, they all continue to hold their spots at this moment. But for how long as we continue to dwindle the laps? 11 laps left to go here at Phoenix for the Phoenix 200. The second to last race of the season here for the 2022 VRL Cup Series. And folks, for all of you that have tuned in for all of these races, I'm going to do a more official, statement next week to kind of end things off here. But I just want to say thank you to everyone that has tuned in all season long. 36 races that we will have covered here for the VRL Cup Series. One of the largest bookings that we have done here with Team Goon Squad among some of the largest bookings that we've done here with Team Goon Squad. So huge thank you to not only the viewers, the drivers, but to VRL and Tony Hilbrands for putting on this series and for having us commentate this series and put on these broadcasts for you guys every single week, or rather when the races happen. It's not always every week, but you get my point. Thank you guys. We wouldn't be able to do it without every one of you tuning in and enjoying the action. Otherwise, we would just be sitting here talking to ourselves.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't mind that so much, but yeah, I always enjoy in the booth, and yes, we absolutely love everyone coming out, and especially putting the comments down in the spectator area, in the comment section of our videos. We absolutely love to interact with our fans, and great to see everyone coming out. But Ashley Lyle, man, she has reeled in James Miller. Continuing on my fishing pole analogy, we're gonna keep going with Ashley Lyle really sending it in deep. She's been flicking off laps very quickly, and you can see almost paying the price for it, as the tires underneath her just not liking just how much pressure she was putting onto James Miller just ahead. 8 laps to go though, not much to be left on the table. Ashley Lyle is going to continue to try and catch up to Miller as best she can. You have no doubt about that. This is going to shape up to be a very exciting battle for the lead.
Absolutely intense here for the win here tonight between James Miller and Ashley Lyle. The closest battle that we have, well, not necessarily actually. It's kind of dwindled out here a little bit. But 7 laps left to go. Ashley Lyle showing that she's eager to come home with the win here tonight at Phoenix. James Miller also eager to come home with a win here tonight after his podium last week at Laguna. Tony Hilbrands also looking for a podium finish here tonight after a few weeks of bad luck here. But only 6 laps left to go here. Not a whole lot of time left, but plenty of time for mistakes to still be made. And will we see anyone make those mistakes here, as most of the field has settled back out here? Not a whole lot of battles happening with under a quarter of a second. Most drivers within a half a second of each other at this point. So 5 laps left to go. It's all about being steady and holding it on until the end.
Yeah, for James Miller, it's just about not cracking under pressure, just finding your marks and hitting them and keeping your lap times consistent. Ashley Lyle is all about trying to work out just where James Miller is a little bit weaker than her and trying to exploit that by being quicker each and every time. And you can see she's dwindled down the gap quite substantially in just that 1 lap, so she might just have a run for him going into the final little bit. This will be very intense, as James Miller has been putting on a clinic for the last few long runs. But Ashley Lyle, as the tires wear out, we've seen her catch actually up to James Miller, and she was slightly faster than him just earlier on and has been consistently. James Miller just putting a little bit quicker time down that last time by. Ashley Lyle, though, not exactly far behind, with only 4/10 separating the two. So Ashley Lyle is putting on a fantastic show. I didn't expect to see the pace we've seen out of her tonight. I did not expect to see that at all, but Tony Hilbrands is now under fire from Howie Brisk. Corcell's not too far behind, Jaden Hopp on the back as well. Hilbrands wants to have a nice finish, as Hilbrands is currently in a fight with Hopp for 3rd position overall and is holding on to 3rd. If he gets this 3rd place spot, not only 3rd here but also 3rd in the championship, he should be able to take 2nd away from Nicholas Lovell, who did not turn up in the championship race. So all the positions being played for, paying out dividends for all of these drivers at the moment. We're going to go to the white flag lap. Ashley Lyle looks like she's not able to make the gap close as quick as she wants it to, and James Miller looks like he's heading for a pretty solid victory, but there's battles continuing for the 3rd spot as well. So it's just incredible to see all these drivers coming home, and I was going to hand it off to you, Mason, but they're catching the checkered flag much quicker than I expected him to. James Miller is going to take the win. Ashley Lyle not too far behind. Hilbrands, Briss, Corcell, Hopp, Shire, Williams, and Koulibaly, none of them separated by an incredible amount of time. So, fantastic race from everyone we've seen here today.
Absolutely phenomenal and an absolutely incredible job here from James Miller in the 09 machine, taking it home for the win here tonight. I'm sure that James is going to be absolutely ecstatic here tonight after this win. Phenomenal job here to James Miller and the rest of the field. This was extremely exciting to watch and commentate for. Hopefully everyone watching enjoyed what they saw here tonight. And someone in the chat here saying the letter P, I honestly thought this was the real Phoenix Championship. You know, maybe one day. Maybe one day. But anyway, folks, we're going to go ahead and get into our post-race interviews here tonight. Let's go ahead and get that started up here. Just one moment here. As James Miller, he's going to do a celebratory burnout all the way around the field here. He's just going to power slide it all the way around the track here. But we're going to go ahead and get ready for our first driver up here in the booth tonight. That is going to be Tony Hilbrands coming home with that third place spot here tonight. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get Mr. Tony up here in the booth. Tony, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your third place finish here tonight. I'm sure you were very eager to get up here in the booth and come home with a, well, maybe not necessarily up here in the booth, but get home on a podium after the past few weeks that you've seen with mechanical struggles and so on and so forth. But Tony, good race here tonight, and frankly, a lot of good action throughout the field. What was your expectations coming into tonight? I mean, this particular layout of Phoenix is, at least for myself and my experience, has definitely a lot of challenges that we don't normally see in a lot of other ovals. So what was kind of your expectations? What were you planning for coming into tonight's race?
I was planning on winning. I was on pace to set the pole lap in qualifying, but I spun out on my second lap, so I had to start fourth. I was just stuck in traffic the whole race, and that kind of killed me on any chance of getting up there. And then, yeah, that one wreck with that spin with Jaden, I had to go down pit road and take an extra set of tires I didn't really want to take, and I had to start back further. And then on the restart, there was a kerfuffle or whatever in front of us, and I lost like 5-6 seconds on the top 3 or 4, whatever it was, and I ran them all down under that green, and then I was actually trying to make a pass, and then I got cut off, and then I had a battle for a few laps, and I got around, and then my tires were hot, so I slid one corner, and then I was fighting on the outside for like 8 laps, and then everything went downhill from there. And then the last restart, I restarted second, which I hate restarting second on iRacing because I can't time restarts on iRacing when I'm in second. And I slapped the wall a couple of times, and it just lost so much ground. So I was just hoping that Ashley and James would race a little harder a little sooner, but that never really happened. I'm happy with third, but it could have been a lot better if I didn't mess myself up tonight. So, but I'll take it. I'm racing for second in points now. Howie just needs to show up the last race to get the championship. It's going to be between me and Jaden now for second. Lovell might still be in contention, but him missing tonight hurt a lot.
Well, with that being said here, I mean, after your podium here tonight, looking next week into the season finale at Las Vegas for the Sin City 200, Las Vegas, definitely a different breed of racetrack than what we've seen here tonight at Phoenix. I mean, obviously, I'm sure that you're hoping for a win there, but what are you going to be doing to prepare for next week? And I mean, ultimately, trying to secure that second place spot in the championship.
I just gotta beat Jaden. That's all I have to worry about next week. So it's kind of easy because I don't have to try to win or whatever, but it's also like I gotta focus on where he is the whole race, which kind of sucks, but you know, we all have to deal with that sometimes. So I just want to have a nice clean race next week, that's all. And it is a day to night race, so we're probably gonna be like 3 and 4 wide at some points because there should probably be a lot of grip. I don't know. It should be a good race next week, for especially for the final race of the season.
Well, too bad it's not Martinsville, where you could pull a Ross Chastain and just take it through 3 and 4 full throttle and just gain a few positions that way. But Tony, before we let you go here and celebrate with your fellow drivers, is anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before you go tonight?
Just everyone who shows up, because again, we can't do these races without people showing up and racing. We had a little lower count tonight than what I was expecting. I don't know what was all going on. Whatever. Next week's the final week. All the people who show up to watch, because again, we put these races on for you guys to enjoy, and then you guys are broadcasting, because obviously we wouldn't have a broadcast without you guys, and it's been great having you this year.
Absolutely. I've been enjoying my time here. I'm sure I can speak for Gareth as well. It's been a blast being up here in the booth calling the action for you guys every single week. Wouldn't have it any other way. But Tony, thank you for joining us up here in the booth, and I look forward to seeing you next week at Las Vegas, and hopefully we get to talk in similar circumstances.
Yeah, hopefully I get that win, because there's so many races I should have won this year. It's really aggravating.
Well, don't let it get to you, Tony, and hopefully we'll see you up taking that win next week at Las Vegas.
Yep, have a good one, guys.
You as well. Alrighty, folks, so that was Tony Hillebrands taking it home for third here tonight at Phoenix. Up next, taking it home second place here tonight is Ashley Lyle, going to be joining us up here in the booth. Ashley, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your second place finish here tonight. I'm going to go ahead and pass you off to my good friend, colleague, Gareth McAllister, and let him start your interview.
Yeah. Hi, Ashley. Nice to see you again. How you been?
I've been pretty decent, honestly. I've had like a really good few weeks, you know. It's been fun life so far.
Well, that's great to hear. I mean, if your form is anything to base off how your real life's been going, I reckon it's been going pretty well, because wow, you had some pace here today. I have a whole list of questions for you. Probably not going to be able to get through all of them, but just you set the fastest lap of the race about 3 times in that last run, trying to catch up to James Miller there. Can you talk us through just how you were able to really just somehow take 2/10 off of his fastest time?
Dude, I took 2/10 off of that?
Yeah.
Good lord. Yeah, I dropped the brake bias to the rear by like 1.5, because the way I prefer to drive is just to try to get the rear to turn the front, you know? And fortunately, Tony's setups at Phoenix pretty typically allow for that. Otherwise, driving here on the right front sucks. I mean, I don't think anyone likes it when it's planted on the right front. But all I really did was drop that brake bias and then just completely drop any pretense of trying to save the tires and just pushed as hard as I could for 20 laps. I ran 20 qualifying laps through that, and like my chest hurts because I wasn't breathing fully. That was the hardest I pushed for a second place finish, probably in my life.
You could definitely feel it. We could feel the intensity up here in the booth. It was fantastic to watch. Unfortunately, not quite able to catch up to Miller in the end, but definitely pushing as hard as you can. Now, I did want to ask though, how do you feel about your pit strategy on the green flag pit stops that we had before that caution came out? It looked like that may have hurt you a little bit, staying a little bit too long out on those tires.
So it wasn't really necessarily I stayed out too long. The problem that happened was I got into the pits and the pit crew didn't start changing the tires for 10 seconds. And then on top of that, it started the pit stop over again once they started changing tires, and it took 15 seconds to do that stop. So it was like 2 significant errors compounded into one. To be completely honest, I think what happened is I had like a little micro internet blip when they went to start changing the tires the first time, and it just reset the stop. But I'm not an expert in how this stuff works. All I know is that something funky happened there, and I'm very happy that that caution came out at the end.
Yeah, well, that definitely allowed you to come home with this second place spot. And, regardless of unfortunate issues or whatever else may have caused the problems here, still a fantastic run. We absolutely enjoyed watching you come through the field. It was crazy, and a new paint job as well. Do you want to take us through that?
Yeah. So normally in pretty much every car I run in any league, with like a couple exceptions, I run cars that are sponsored by Morton Salt every single week. I know that's not what's on the car, just I'll get there. And initially it's a joke to make fun of people who get too angry at iRacing to call them salty, and then just kind of developed into my thing from there. When the template changed over with these cars, I didn't repaint it because I cannot be bothered to do that right now. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to do it in the off season. So for the last couple of races, I'm just kind of running a couple novelty or joke paint schemes. I ran this because it's one of my favorite films. And I just kind of happened to stumble across it in trading paints and figured it'd be cool to run it.
All right. Well, I mean, we enjoyed watching it, and as I said, we
Good.
enjoyed watching it come through the field. And I think Mason at some point or another actually called it's the nightmare before Christmas for some of these drivers because Ashley's so damn fast. But
Oh, that was a
yeah,
good call. I like that. That's a fun one. Good job.
yeah. So yeah, but as I say, it was great watching you come through the field. And for the final time, who would you like to give a shout out to? Friends, family, sponsors, anyone watching at home to see you come through with this second place?
Well, I want to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. Typically, I save the broadcasts for Thursdays and Fridays to rewatch them because I work from home those days and gives me some good background noise. So I'm gonna watch through. I am so sorry. I'm gonna watch through this then. Thanks, Tony, for putting on the league and particularly for making this setup. This is one of my favorite setups I've ran in iRacing. This was super smooth the entire run. I also want to thank Tony in advance for the payout for next season when I win the championship, because I'm calling that now. I'm going to win this because I've got my mojo back. So mark that down. And I'm going to thank my mom.
All right. Well, I fully expect that you'll be in the title race, if not potentially the championship for sure, because the pace we've seen out of you the last few races is just insane. So I can't wait to see you then. And are you going to be here for the next race next week?
More than likely. There's nothing planned right now that would cause me to miss it, so I should be here.
All right. Well, fantastic. I look forward to seeing you then. And if this form continues, probably talking to you again. Or maybe not me and maybe Mason. If you bring it home in victory lane, we're certainly excited to see that at Las Vegas next week. So we'll see you then, and have a good week until then.
Cool beans. Y'all enjoy as well. Pleasure talking with you as always.
Alrighty, folks, that was Ashley Lyle taking it home for second place here tonight in the number 51 Nightmare Before Christmas machine. Last and certainly not going to be least here tonight, James Miller taking it home for the win in the Tim Hortons 09 machine. James, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your win here tonight. Phenomenal work that you did here. Taking that momentum that you had last week from Laguna and carrying it forward here tonight at Phoenix definitely paid off. Back-to-back podiums and a win here tonight at Phoenix definitely has got to be a good feeling. What was kind of the preparation that you had going into tonight, or is Phoenix just one of those tracks that just clicks for you?
Oh man, what a great night. Honestly, yeah, I mean, it kind of just clicks. I was not expecting that much long run pace or speed. Like I would struggle a bit on the short run, but I wasn't expecting that coming into it. Didn't really know where we would be at, but I mean, it's fast in practice. I had the fastest 2-lap run, which I thought would be great for qualifying, and then I butchered the lap, so I started 5th. But I don't know, man. That felt great. I don't know if it was just the setup. The setup felt a bit weird when I first got into it, but I clearly figured it out because that thing just kept running, kept moving, kept the pace, and never really fell off. I was expecting it to. Like, honestly thought I was going to hit a wall and just the lap time would just fall off, and I just kept gaining. It was insane.
Now, excuse me, knowing this, having that fight with Howie Briss for the lead, I forget what lap it was, but it started to seem like Howie may have burned through his tires at some point or another, because once you got past him, it just started to seem like the 97 started to fall down the field a little bit. Did you maybe notice that Howie was starting to get a little bit loose at some point or another, or talk me through what led to you making that pass for the lead and ultimately securing that lead at that point?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because I started behind them, was taking my time a bit at the start, just kind of feel for it, for how the track condition was compared to practice, because it changed a bit there, I noticed in qualifying. And I could keep pace. I was kind of keeping Tony behind me. And then I started to catch those two where they were trying to battle. And I was like, okay, this is good. And I could notice, a lot of sliding around. But I was sliding around myself. And I was like, okay, we're all pushing hard. And I was keeping an eye on the relative. I noticed Ashley was catching us as well. I was like, okay, clearly the four of us aren't as fast as we would like to be. But honestly, I thought I was going to fall off too. Like, I realized he was probably pushing a little harder than I was at the time, and that's why I got to him. But I figured, once I start fighting him, I'd fall off. But I really noticed they were kind of holding me up, and which is why I unfortunately got into the back of Jaden. I was just trying to keep momentum up there, and he got a bit loose, checked up, and I didn't, and drove through him there, which is unfortunate because it happened right before the long run there we had. So I'm sure that really ruined his race, which again I'm really apologetic for. But yeah, I got by them, and I'm pretty sure they let me by thinking I'd burn my shit up. Sorry, but I thought so too. And it just never happened, which honestly I'm surprised about, because usually that's what I do. And pitting in that first time, right front and right rear were both 73-ish, which I thought was pretty good for about a full tank of fuel. I don't know how much more I could have gone. But I was like, okay, this is sweet. I got a line down, just needed to keep it going green. And then we had that caution with 25 to go, and I was like, damn. But yeah, short runs, not my strong suit. Struggled a bit there. I just knew I had to keep the tires under it, and figured with the 20-lap run, the car would start to shine right at the end. And Ashley got close. I think I don't know if it was 10 to go or 5 to go. Had me a little nervous. I was definitely gripping that wheel hard, but I just kept the wheels straight, and kept it under it, tried not to spin the rears out of the corners and drift it, and brought her home.
Absolutely, and you did a phenomenal job here tonight, James. It was impressive watching you here lead practically, I would say, probably pretty close to 70% of the race here tonight. So phenomenal work. I know that you weren't expecting it, but frankly, we weren't either. And once you did make that pass and start to show your dominance, it was quite impressive to witness. But congratulations here, and looking forward into Las Vegas. Hopefully, you carry that momentum forward and maybe bring home another win looking into Las Vegas. But before we let you go here, maybe talk a little bit about next week at Las Vegas, and also give your shout outs to anyone at home, anyone in the booth, or anyone watching the broadcast or in the pit crew. Floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I like to shout out the booth guys. No, Vegas, I'm not sure about. I feel like I always say this coming into races now, but mile and a halves aren't really my forte. That's where I usually burn the right front up, or the right rear. Usually burn a tire up. I'm thinking as long as I can get a strategy figured out, and then actually perform to that strategy, not like speed on pit road or something silly like that, I think we have a good chance. Just got to figure out what our long run pace is, manage the tire wear, but it should be good. Nice finishing race to the season, and it's been a great season, so I'm sure it'll be a great race, and look forward to running that, seeing how it goes. But yeah, just shout out to the Team AV guys for this badass race car. Shout out to everyone watching the broadcast. I hope we put on a show at the start there. I'm sure got a little strung out in the middle there, but brought it back at the end too. So thanks to you guys for the broadcast, and I'd just like to say my condolences to Matthew Fitz. He couldn't make it tonight due to a family issue, so just condolences to him.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, James, for joining us up here in the booth tonight. Congratulations once again on your win, and we look forward to seeing you next week at Las Vegas and hopefully get to talk to you again.
Yeah, I look forward to that. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Have a good night. Alrighty, folks. James Miller taking it out of the booth here tonight with the win, and that is going to conclude our coverage here tonight of the Phoenix 200 here for the 2022 VRL Cup Series. And before we end things off here, I want to also give our condolences to Matthew Fitz as well, the number 69 driver, not able to attend the race here tonight due to some family circumstances. So condolences, Matthew. Hopefully all is well, and hopefully we get to see you next week at Las Vegas. But before we end off here, Gareth, what a race that we had here tonight. Definitely, obviously a little bit smaller field than what we're used to, but drivers made it a very exciting race here, and frankly, I'm looking forward to what Las Vegas is going to have for us next week.
Yeah, this is becoming a very typical VRL kind of a race. It doesn't matter how many drivers turn up. It is just fantastic racing, and it's so close and so tight battles between all of these drivers, whether you're a top tier driver, mid-pack, or even a little bit, still working out just how the physics work or getting used to how the cars work around you. There's always someone to race, and it's always fantastic, and you can get a lot of side-by-side action in, and we love calling it. I'm sure I speak on behalf of you as well, Mason, when I say that this is one of the best broadcasts that I have the pleasure of calling, and I absolutely love it, and I'm looking forward to next week. The drivers this week put on a show that was very much worthy of a championship race, and makes me wonder what kind of race we're going to have for the championship race next week at Las Vegas. So should be an interesting one to call, and I look forward to seeing all the spectators and yourself there next week as well.
Indeed, it's going to be a phenomenal night next week at Las Vegas, and knowing that Howie Briss only has to just show his face next week and come home with the championship, that is going to be pretty much how it wraps up there for Howie Briss's season. But there is still battles to be made for the second, third, and fourth and fifth place spots, I believe, if I recall correctly. And Tony Hilbrand's looking to secure that second place spot next week at Las Vegas. So a lot of action left to be had here next week for the final race of the 2022 season here with Velocity Racing League. Don't miss out on any of the action. Make sure you get subscribed and catch the race next week. Same time, same place as always. And be sure to get yourself ready for 2023, as we will be coming back here with Velocity Racing League for the 2023 Cup Series. Going to be exciting, and it's going to be myself and Gareth McAllister bringing you the action as always. So look forward to that. A two-man booth for the whole season. It's going to be a spicy one, folks. You wouldn't want to miss it. It's been great. And thank each and every one of you for tuning in and watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, you know the drill. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad 7 nights a week. My name is Mason Heimbaugh. Joined alongside me, good friend and colleague Gareth McAllister, bringing you the action here tonight with Team Goon Squad. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you all next week.